all anxiety disorders are obsessive and compulsive in at least some way. We could rename panic disorder panic attack OCD.
Or even the obsession is, I'm having panic attacks, I must be broken.
Ooh.
The obsession becomes, I need to fix myself.
What if, insert your health fear here, and then the compulsion becomes all the things you do in response to that thought to try and bring down the fear that the thought creates.
Googling,
Sure.
reassurance seeking, scanning, body checking, poking, prodding, threat monitoring. There's a big list of compulsions there. The obsession is, how am I performing in front of this person, and am I pleasing them or not, or whatever.
What if people see who I really am?
The compulsions are rumination, planning, rehearsing what to say, phoning, people pleasing, critically analyze our social performance.
Welcome to Disordered. This is episode 85 of the podcast, entitled, Am I Obsessive and Compulsive? It's a good question we're going to answer today. I am Drew Linsalata, one of the co-hosts of Disordered. I'm a therapist practicing under supervision in New York, specializing in anxiety and anxiety disorders. I'm a former sufferer of anxiety and OCD and depression for many years of my life, on and off, but better now. Three-time author, social media dude, advocate, educator, general mental health guy. And happy to be here.
I'm Joshua Fletcher, also known as Anxiety Josh, psychotherapist based in Manchester in the UK, who specializes in anxiety and anxiety disorders. Like Drew, I'm a previous sufferer, like to combine personal experience with my professional experience. Author, podcaster, Instagram prancer around and my star sign is Cancer.
Oh, I'm a Pisces.
Oh.
I don't think we've ever revealed that on Disordered. See, now you guys, now you really know us. Now we have that really parasocial relationship going on now. Now you know us, so you can trust us and buy stuff from us. Anyway, before I get on a rant, am I obsessive and compulsive? What do you think?
Yes.
Am I? Am I? This is a good topic. Josh came up with this one, and the premise here is the assertion that all anxiety disorders are obsessive and compulsive in at least some way. Fight us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Should we go through them? Panic disorder. What's the obsessive compulsive nature of panic disorder?
I think that we could rename panic disorder panic attack OCD, and it would be valid. So
Why?
The obsession is, what if I have a panic attack? And the compulsions are all the things that people do to alleviate the fear that when they have that thought, what if I have a panic attack? I know where the argument's going to come right away, but panic attacks are real, and OCD generally latches onto things that are not based in reality. But if you look at the mechanism of how obsessions and compulsions work, we could call panic disorder panic attack OCD if you want to. The obsession is, what if I have a panic attack? Compulsion is all the things you do in response to that thought or worry. Yeah.
Or even the obsession is, I'm having panic attacks, I must be broken.
Ooh.
The obsession becomes, I need to fix myself.
Yeah,
so the compulsions aren't just avoidance, or they're not, or things to stop a panic attack. They're like, what's wrong with me? I need to resource gather. I need to do this. I need to fix myself. I need to do wellness things.
Yep.
Endless compulsions of panic disorder. Yeah. Moving on. What about health anxiety? What's obsessive and compulsive about health anxiety?
Oh, well, I mean, that's the what if, insert your health fear here, and then the compulsion becomes all the things you do in response to that thought to try and bring down the fear that the thought creates. So what if I get cancer? What if my dog gets sick? What if my kids are sick? Like whatever the health fear happens to be. So
yeah, and the compulsions would be Googling, reassurance seeking, scanning, body checking, poking, prodding, threat monitoring. There's a big list of compulsions there. Are you enjoying this quiz? Do you want the next one?
How about I give you one?
Okay.
This is going to be a tricky one. Social anxiety.
Oh.
What's the compulsion? What's the obsession in social anxiety?
So the obsession is maybe the fear of being judged or pushed away or not getting things right in a social situation. Or things like fear of offending. Basically, the obsession is, how am I performing in front of this person, and am I pleasing them or not, or whatever, or fear of embarrassment. The compulsions are rumination, planning, rehearsing what to say, constantly scanning the self during a social interaction for performance. Am I doing the right facial expression? Compulsions are phoning compulsions like people pleasing, laughing at jokes that aren't funny, doing things like that. And then afterwards, main compulsion with social anxiety is usually to ruminate and critically analyze our social performance and worry if people like us, they don't like us, they're angry, they're not angry, etc. So that would fall under obsessive compulsive.
Yeah, I think you nailed that one. The other thing that I would add for maybe social anxiety is, what if people see who I really am? Might be another compulsion, another obsession there. What if they really see my brokenness? Because I already think I'm broken. And what if they see that? And then the compulsions are going to be the same that you just talked about anyway. But I think some people,
that kind of brings in imposter syndrome, isn't it? Because that's basically imposter syndrome, isn't it?
Sure.
Here's an easy one. Is obsessive compulsive disorder obsessive and compulsive?
It's a trick question, isn't it? Yeah, clearly it is. That is what defines that. But okay, here's one: selective mutism. That's in the DSM. That's the first one in anxiety disorders. Selective mutism.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Really,
I don't think there's a single person listening to this that has selective mutism, but it's in the DSM under anxiety disorders. And I always look at it and I'm like, poor selective mutism. It doesn't get talked about.
There's 2 people in my family with that, with mutism, often associated with autism and things. But I don't know. I really don't. It's not my field, so I'm not gonna talk about it.
Selective mutism is what happens when you get ridiculous, and I just refuse to answer you. That's on purpose.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
Not leaving, not leaving OCD alone. So like puro OCD, intrusive thoughts, become the obsession. What if I'm a bad person? What if this catastrophe happens? What if I can't solve this unsolvable thing, or I can't feel better until I've solved this unsolvable thing? What if I don't feel sated and I don't feel that feeling of satiation, i.e. not cleaning, locking doors, checking, tapping, decontaminating, washing, etc. Depending on how your OCD manifests, as infinite themes. And the compulsions would be anything to either sate, get rid of discomfort, seek reassurance, try and find relief, and not feel the way we do. So
yeah, for sure.
If you didn't know, obsessive compulsive disorder requires you to be obsessive and compulsive. Don't tell us we don't teach you stuff here.
Yeah, right. That was worth the price of admission right there. How about GAD? For my money, GAD is the one that's closest. Well, health anxiety too, but I see almost no difference between GAD and OCD. The topics, people will say it's the topics that are different. Yeah, well, again, OCD can be a little bit, like anything can be an OCD theme, and no matter how unrealistic it is. And GAD people tend to be a little bit more focused on real things, like what if I never get a good job, and what if I'm not a good mom, and but they're very similar, except the mechanisms I think are almost identical. Like GAD is the obsession there is, I have to solve every problem. What if I don't figure it out? What if I'm not taking care of everybody properly? What if I'm not creating a loving home? What if I'm not, it's always, I have to meet this demand. And since I can't find certainty in my head about that demand, I just keep thinking and worrying and ruminating actively to try to bring down my discomfort that I might be not getting this right, or not solving a problem, or not knowing, or not doing enough, whatever it is.
And they all fall under SAR, shock, attention, resistance.
That's it. We got to make that t-shirt for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like we can go around to schools doing like an interactive school assembly.
Ooh.
We're dressed as superheroes, like SAR, and then we do into like a little song about metacognitive. No, I don't think that is a good.
We would do one
plan.
school and then never ask to another. I think that's my prediction for that business plan.
You're frightening the children with the amygdala.
Yeah, GAD is the closest one, I think, but health anxiety is probably pretty close too. But like, there's an obsession there. What do you look in your identity to me? Oh, I'm the problem solver. I'm the multitasker. I'm the fast one. I'm the one that gets it right. Oh, really? So then the what if, the obsession is, what if I'm not? What if I don't do that? What if I don't figure it out?
What if you're a low self-esteem perfectionist? That could be obsessive and compulsive without you even realizing it.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of like perfectionism obsessions underneath GAD for a lot of people. Whatever their definition of perfectionism, I got to get this right. I can't afford to get this wrong. No matter how small it may be, people feel like, no, I got to get it right. Like the family's going on vacation. I got to make those reservations a year and a half in advance. Like I got to do it. It has to be done right now. And then I'm just keyed up all day long. Like, yeah, that's part of it. Right. So
What kind of airport dad are you? Do you get there like 3 years in advance before the gate opens, or are you
No.
the guy that's
I'm
efficient?
Kramer skidding into the door. Like I've hopefully paid for the like fast security thing because I'm gonna be late. No, I cannot relate to airport dad. You're sitting around an airport terminal for like 4 hours just to be like in the right boarding group. No, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I never got that with planes. You sat there and like
No,
you have a pre-booked seat, and like everyone sat around the gate, and then they announced the gate, and everyone's running to the
it
plane.
doesn't matter.
I'm like, you're just going to be sat there for longer,
Yeah.
watching everyone else sit down. I never get that.
It's the get up the minute the plane stops too. Like you land, it stops. Everybody gets up. Like you're in a tube, dude. You can't. You're in the
They ain't
48th
opening that
of
door
60
yet.
rows. It ain't right. You just sit down, just chill, like relax. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my that's
So
my airport dad
obsessive
identity.
and compulsive, fixators,
Ooh,
shock attention resistance.
yeah.
You know, lots of these themes which link us all together.
Mhm.
Yeah, we want to talk about, you know, the obsessive compulsive nature of whatever it is that your anxiety does. I think we invite you to be like, what's my current obsession or fixation? And what am I doing to mitigate the feelings around that? And you'll find that, yeah, a lot of anxiety disorders follow the same formula.
Yeah. Look for I can't get off this topic. And then the corresponding thing you want to look for is, I feel like I really have to do this thing. Even within like the confines of any particular anxiety disorder, somebody's trying to get better, they're trying to do the recovery thing. You can develop those like micro obsessions that come in that like, oh, I read that gut health is the key. Gut health is it. And then you become obsessed with gut health and you're constantly reading about it and you're all the articles. And now you're trying to make sure you eat the right thing and carefully monitoring. And that could go on for a few weeks until that's not the answer. And then you move on to the next one. So it's that sense that I have to do this. This is it. This is the thing. I must do this or it's urgent. That's a good clue.
Remember casting our mind back to like, I think it's the last episode with when we answered questions and stuff. And it's something I've been bringing up in my practice recently. And when I've been doing talks, it's you know, that formula that I spoke about, you know, if I give attention and effort to something, it usually fixes it. And I'm going to bring it up again because I'm really into this at the moment.
Yep.
Attention plus effort equals issue fixed quickly. But with anything that's obsessive and compulsive, no. You're slamming the foot on the reverse.
Yeah. You can almost never fix an obsession. I'm not sure that you ever could. I want to say never, but I'll say almost never because I'm not 100% sure. Because no matter what, it's never enough. It's never going to be enough. So,
but you're tricked into thinking you can. You're almost there.
Yeah.
You're almost on the tip of the epiphany. There's no epiphany.
So close, so close. If I could just get, and you know what? Sometimes that's not really an obsession, but like when people who are afraid to start to actually do recovery work, with exposure, facing the fear, willful tolerance, whatever you want to call it, if I could just, I just need that one thing to make it click so I can start. No. That's the whole like, no. You think you're going to think your way into not being afraid. So then you could do things that you're supposed to be afraid of. So that's a little off topic, but.
No, it's true. And if you're a fixator as well, take breaks. Nothing wrong with being a fixator. It just depends on what you're fixating on, but also take breaks because you need to learn that your attention muscle shouldn't be left alone. It gets weaker. It gets whatever. You know, taking breaks is really good, even when you're not anxious. So if you're having a great week and you're enveloped in something that you're passionate about, project, work thing, whatever, take breaks and learn to not even fixate on that because you want your attention flexibility to be good. In fact, Drew and I are becoming fixated right now on this topic. So we should break it up where the community did it anyway.
We totally should do that. And you know what I try to tell some of my clients? Sometimes we actually start with, don't recover today. Don't. If they're so caught up in that, then it's like, hey, guess what? Your homework is to not recover today. And they're like, what? So good point. Let's do it. And we have 2 international dinner anyway. So let's start with a friend from Norway. Here we go.
Hi, Drew and Josh. My name is Jesper, 22-year-old student from Norway. As Drew knows Norwegian, I will take this in Norwegian and he can translate. Just kidding. A couple of months ago, I had a panic attack with while playing paddle with my friends. It was horrible, didn't know anything about this, and got in a hole for a couple of months. Started having them anywhere, listened to your podcast, started helping me out, and I finally found the courage to play with my dad. I had a big panic attack while playing with him, ran to the toilet, heart pounding, feeling dizzy. But I remembered willful tolerance and remembered it was not dangerous, so I got back to playing quickly. It was horrible, I probably sucked, but it ended and I got to spend some good time with my dad.
But I'm not
But I
done
wanted
yet.
to challenge myself even more, so a couple of weeks later I booked with my friends for today. And an hour before, Craig the Critic was screaming at me saying, "You can't do this, you will have a panic attack, you will embarrass yourself." So I called up a friend asking me if he can take my spot, so I won't disappoint my friends, and he said yes. I still showed up, so we were 5, one extra than you need, and we just rotated instead, and I had no panic attacks. I said, "Darn you, Craig the Critic," and I proved him wrong. It was amazing. I felt free again, and I will continue testing myself. Thank you. I will say this in Norwegian. Jeg gjorde det uansett. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes, Jesper, that was amazing.
But he's not done yet. He just kept going. I love it.
Yeah, he's got the momentum going there. It was brilliant. Yeah, well done, and thanks for sending that in. And thanks for the kind words in Norwegian, which I'm assuming were kind. He might have just been insulting our families.
He said you look like an elderberry bush. That's what he. Okay. I think what was that? Flott jobb for set med det. Like, great job, keep it up. I probably got that wrong for all my Norwegian friends, but like, I'm trying.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Anyway.
I like this little kind of sub-community of Norwegians.
Right.
Well done, Jasper. That was excellent.
Very good. Very good. All right. So what are we talking about? We have a couple more of these, but we'll sprinkle them throughout the episode.
Yeah, being obsessive and compulsive. Also acknowledging that fixation part of your brain, even when you're not being anxious. Actually, I think, and again, the older I get, the more metacognitive theory I get on this. Sometimes I think it's a thinking style that leads us to anxiety disorders, in the sense that we rely on the formula of attention and effort on something fixes something, and it's great. But when that's the only tool in our tool belt, when it comes to thinking, it's really annoying when you've had a panic attack, or you're trying to fix DPDR, or you're obsessing about ectopic heartbeats, or you're feeling a bit dizzy and tired, or you're afraid of sleep, or you don't like this intrusive thought because it means something horrendous or whatever. That's when it starts to backfire, and we end up in the obsessive compulsive loop.
Yeah, that's a good point. I might say the same for almost, I want to be careful what I say here, but like emotional style, there's the whole, like, I rely so heavily on my emotions to tell me if everything is okay, that now I start to try to compulsively get the right emotional feeling so that I know I'm okay in any given situation. And that could vary very widely, but I always consult my emotions to see if this is correct. Is my gut telling me the right thing? Is my intuition right? Do I have the right feeling? Did you see the way he looked at me? I think he's probably mad at me. Like, and now I have a bad feeling, so I'm going to consult my emotions. And then when you can't get resolution, you can wind up on the hamster wheel real quick. Trying even harder and harder and harder to make the right emotion. So not easy.
Yeah, definitely. What can you remember being obsessed about and subsequently danced with compulsions?
I became obsessed. This is funny because I use it in my life now, and I talk about it all the time, with the concept of meditation. It became an obsession. Meditation was what you use to calm down. Like, and I was never, throughout my life, I had no interest in that whatsoever. It just didn't resonate with me. I was never a meditator. I gave it no mind. I did not care. But then when I was in the thick of panic disorder and like freaking out and just trying not to panic all the time, it's like, oh, meditation, that's good for anxiety. That calms you down. And I would compulsively meditate. There was no doubt in my mind that I got stuck in that. So anytime I had to do anything that was going to be in the least bit challenging, you would find me sitting like cross-legged, listening to like binaural beats or some sort of like new age music and trying so hard to meditate myself into calmness. It was not pretty. And then I would get more frantic because it wouldn't work.
And looking back, we know that was just resistance.
What a huge mistake that was. I was a compulsive meditator. I would build in time before anything for meditation. So I have a doctor's appointment. I got to build in 20 minutes of meditation before I was airport dad at my doctor's office because I would get there early. I would start the day early to meditate before I went to the doctor's office. And I would get there 20 or 30 minutes early so I could meditate in the waiting room, so that I'd be calm when I went in.
So it's interesting though, because meditation is great actually.
It's awesome.
And I like meditation, but when you use it as a safety behavior,
it went off the rails.
And it gets all the credit as well. Like this thing, you were techniquifying meditation.
It got ugly. It really drove me into some tough spots too, because it became kind of frantic. I remember the day when I realized like I'm frantically meditating. Talk about a oxymoron. Like,
yeah, I was going to say the irony is you weren't actually meditating.
No, I was literally just trying to like,
because it's observing without judgment, etc. And you're like, no, everything I'm observing is with severe judgment. And that is, I hope this isn't anxiety.
Most severe judgment that I could bring upon myself. Yes, that is true. And it was just like, wait, I am frantically meditating. That is not right. That's not supposed to look that way. So
yeah, my big one, obsessive. I mean, it was a theme of OCD for me. You know, I think I've said it in the past, but like and a lot of people maybe listening to this podcast will relate to it. The idea of just fixing myself. And bear in mind, like, I realized I was absolutely fine. I was just on the hamster wheel, but I misinterpreted this and obsessed over the fact that, well, if I'm getting disordered anxiety or if my threat response is misfiring, there must be something fundamentally wrong with me in the genetic makeup or in my brain, or something's happened. And using all the information that I've had growing up, maybe like, you know, watching media and TV and stuff like that, pop psych, I thought, although something must be really wrong in my brain or my body, so I have to fix it somehow. And then when you've got other trainee therapists doing it, and I've done this and I'm processing this, and I'm like, actually, I was just fine. And it became a thing because I behaved like it was a thing. And when you behave like something's a thing, the amygdala's like, I'll help.
Yeah.
And starts giving you adrenaline and cortisol.
I'll help.
Amygdala.
Yeah. That's so good. What else did I get? I was obsessed with, when I was going through the antidepressant withdrawal stuff, I did 3 episodes of The Anxious Truth on that. Go search for antidepressant on my website. That's all I'm going to say about it. So do not ask me to talk more about it. But when I was going through the withdrawal experience, I was absolutely obsessed with, what if I missed the thing that fixes this? And so there were a couple of websites that I was on, and I would sit and refresh the page compulsively, go through all the subforums and then go through them again. And I would spend hours just waiting to see if somebody had posted something new, because that might be the thing.
You sound boring.
I was a barrel of laughs in those days. It was very, very difficult. And you know what the paradox there, though, is the obsession and then the corresponding compulsions with, what if I missed the one thing that's going to get posted today when somebody tells me I figured out how to fix this? And I was so desperate to feel better. I mean, I can't blame myself, but that I was doing nothing to actually support myself. I was ignoring all the things that I could do to support myself just by like refreshing. I just sit at that screen and look all day. It was not good.
Yeah. Something external from me must hold the key to fixing me. Yeah. And that applies to panic, OCD, GAD. Something external is the key to stopping these feelings, whether it's in the depths of rumination, resource gathering. That's a very OCD thing as well, isn't it, Drew? I missed the last piece of the puzzle. There ain't no last piece of the puzzle because it's uncertainty. So actually, you're going to have to make a 1,000-piece puzzle. And guess what? Taking out 8 of the pieces, do the best you can. That's how you recover.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, well. And then experience will fill in those missing 8 pieces. Like that's the way it's going to have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And also rumination is like completing the puzzle and then going back to the box to try and find the pieces, or dismantling the puzzle, putting them back in the box and starting again, just trying to find the missing pieces. They ain't there. You fill them in yourself. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can imagine the pieces being there. You can fill in the picture yourself. I'm sorry, I'm really getting...
No, I love it.
I'm getting into this analogy now.
It's a good one. I could add to it by saying I finished the puzzle, but I don't feel right about how I finished it. So I'm going to take it apart and do it again because I don't feel right about how I finished the puzzle. It just doesn't, I don't think I did it right. Let me do it again just to be sure.
And that's obsessive and compulsive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you feel like you have to do it, or it would be irresponsible, or you'd be shortchanging yourself to not do that thing, that's when you got to look at like, wait a minute, am I being productive here or not?
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the role of intrusive thoughts. So maybe you have an inappropriate sexual thought, maybe about someone you shouldn't, family member, whatever, a tree, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you immediately get that shock.
Yeah.
That has your attention, and then resistance, which comes in the form of compulsion. So there might be, oh, that's not me. Surely that's not me. Is it me? Let me ruminate a bit, reflect on my life. Have I ever done anything like that? Would I? Maybe I should scan my body and see how it's reacting when I do think about that.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Maybe I should avoid compulsively just in case that horrendous thing happens, or if I just simply am scared of the thought. It becomes obsessive when you build your life around intrusive thoughts, just in case that the content might happen or make you feel rubbish.
It make you feel rubbish, I think, is the key for a lot, because this thought just makes me uncomfortable. What if I am like, sometimes there is no necessarily like real world outcome, especially with people with PRO. What if I am this type of person? There's no outcome necessarily. Just I feel so uncomfortable when I have this particular type of thought that now I have to engage in mental compulsions to combat the thought and prove it wrong. And sometimes it's behavioral compulsions, and it's not PRO, but like it really gets tricky because sometimes it's not even the feared outcome. It's just, I feel bad. It makes me feel horrible. And then I'm doomed to feel horrible for the rest of the week. So now I have to do my compulsions to make sure I don't feel horrible. That can be the feared outcome sometimes. And then the argument would be, well, then it's not really OCD, but like these things blur together. The reason why we're doing this episode is it all blurs together so often that it's okay if you can't tell, like, what anxiety
but what
is
you
this?
can say is, I know I can be obsessive and compulsive.
Right, exactly. Like, is this the way I want to be living my life? No, well then, okay, it doesn't matter what I call it. Clearly, I have some work to do here. Okay, it's all right.
And if you're an obsessive compulsive person who's insecure, this could affect your relationships.
Oh,
I'm worried about my relationship. Okay, well, if I think about it and obsess about it more and compulsively seek reassurance, do things, act in a way that isn't my congruent, authentic self, because I'm just trying to mitigate this feeling of uncertainty. Yes, you may have had a history of panic disorder and social anxiety or whatever, but note that you have an obsessive compulsive mechanism in your brain that you must challenge when it attaches to problems outside of the realms of panic disorder, OCD, GAD. Yeah. Because that's what can happen too. That can become the point of fixation and obsession.
Yeah.
And these are the people that can't sleep at night because they're obsessed about, I don't know, a work meeting or a relationship or a falling out or something. And know that it's the same mechanism that applies there. Maybe the hamster wheel isn't going as fast because it doesn't feel as severe or as urgent as maybe some of the themes of other anxiety disorders. But knowing that, I've got that mechanism in my brain that I can change and I can rewire, but thanks to habit and things from the past, I'm going to be smart here and I'm going to observe it metacognitively. That key is trying to fit into that lock, but it's not the right key. So I need to step back and approach it differently.
Oh, it's not the right key. That's really good. Like, no, that's the key I use for everything though. Yeah, but
it fits in and it's turning a bit.
Yeah, but not really though, right?
Maybe if I keep trying it, maybe the lock's bust and you're there for that. Or if you're me coming home from the pub on a Friday night, it is the right key. I'm just purely incompetent. It's the right key. It's the wrong door. My neighbor's like, go home, Josh.
Go home, Josh. This is the third time this week. But that's the thing. We mentioned that in the roundtable we just did. And by the way, if you want to be involved in Disordered Roundtables, just pop on our mailing list at disordered.fm. These are little small group discussions we do on a regular basis. Like how I slid that in. Well, we
love roundtable. The roundtable was so fun.
It was fun. It's us and 20 people, maximum 20 people, and that came up. We were talking about, it was a health anxiety. We're doing another one next week. It's sold out, but get on our mailing list. We're going to do more. But when that came up, it's like you're trying to You're seeing this as a problem that you solve using your big brain problem solving methods, and it's not working. And 20 heads on Zoom are bobbing up and down like, yes, that's right. So like, yeah, that's that obsessive compulsive part of it. Like, yeah, I'm compulsively trying to use my problem solving skills because they work for me, but here they don't. I cannot seem to get the right, no matter how I jiggle the key, I can't get the right feeling. Really hard, man. It'll drive you into bad places sometimes. So
yeah, your obsessive compulsive key.
Yeah.
Unlock some doors.
Not all.
You know, like, oh, my roof's leaking.
Yeah.
If I pour obsession, effort, and fixation onto that problem, my roof will be fixed quicker.
Yeah.
I've dropped everything and I've given it all my attention. And yes, my roof is now fixed and it stopped the leak. Brilliant part of our brains. Brilliant part of my brain that helped me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I use that key for something, it was like, the door ain't even locked, mate. Why are you bothering using it?
Yeah, the key doesn't unlock.
Become a problem.
It doesn't unlock every door. And guess what? Not every door has a key and can be unlocked, which is really hard for people in our community to accept sometimes.
So we sound like a Paulo Coelho book.
Suddenly,
yeah,
exactly.
Loads of metaphors. Of like,
wait, let me put on some new age music and like, start mic dropping truth bombs. You know.
Here's a story from my childhood. It's not as bad as the hot sauce one the other day. It's worse. I was not the best behaved in school, and I stole one of the teacher's master keys to the school, and then I went to Timpson's in town and got it. And it wasn't Timpson's, actually. I'm not having any defamation. It was a market stall, an unnamed key cutter to protecting their confidentiality. And I said, can you cut 8 of these keys for me? And then I started selling master keys around to my friends. And then we used to just basically unlock all the doors in school. It was really fun. And I'm just like, until I got caught one day trying to steal some magnesium tape. You know that magnesium tape that you can set fire to and it bright? Yeah, I was like, I want to play with that. You're getting an insight into my childhood here. And it just reminded me that, I maybe think that my brain has the master key for everything. No, sometimes some doors just don't have a lock, that you just need to leave it alone. So the moral of the story here is I did nothing wrong, and I still to this day shouldn't have got a month's worth of detention.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Your brain had 8 master keys in that situation.
I was stood with this magnesium tape. They're like, what are you doing with that? I was like, I'm just really into science. And they're like, no, you're not.
I'm really into science. Yeah, but you know what's funny about that? Like, we could literally draw a line back to this topic on that. When you have that obsessive compulsive thing going on, the rationalization that happens inside your own head will even do stuff like that. I'm just into science, says young Josh, like to the school administrator. He's like, no, you're not. In that situation, like, I'm just the kind of, how many people listening to the podcast, by show of hands, we'll wait for you to raise your hand. How many people listening to this episode will say things like, well, I'm just the kind of person that does better if I have answers, to justify the compulsive resource gathering, reading, listening, videos, and like research. So that justification or rationalization will come through loud and clear. But if everybody else kind of gives you the side eye on that, like you got when you said you were into science, it's a clue that like, oh, this is that, the compulsion, the obsessive and compulsive nature of it is justifying itself. It's telling me why it's okay to keep doing this. I'm just the kind of person that does better if I know. Oh, well, tell me what you don't know. You already know all the things. Yeah. So interesting.
That makes sense.
I want to talk for a second before we get to our last community stuff about, very briefly, if all anxiety disorders have an element of obsession and compulsion, then does that mean that every anxiety disorder is treated with ERP? Because I know people are going to ask that.
There is an element of response prevention in all anxiety disorders. Some of them is, I would stand on a lectern at a conference behind the riot shields and tell the room, every therapist, that every anxiety disorder has to have
some element
some element of response prevention, because as we know, the amygdala can only be rewired when it's activated.
Yep.
So I would definitely say that. And then when the incoming missiles come in and I'm escorted off by my entourage that doesn't exist. But I very strongly believe that.
Yeah, me too. But it doesn't mean, the only thing I'll throw in, and then we'll get on to the rest of the stuff and wrap up the episode, but like, it doesn't mean that no matter what anxiety disorder you have, you might do the manualized ERP that gets used in OCD treatment. But if you are doing exposure, willfully tolerating, you are also doing some sort of RP. The willful tolerance, I will stop fighting and resisting, is the RP part, no matter what you're doing.
Well, that's epitomized in here. I mean, in this practice, when someone comes in like, I'm having a panic attack, what do I do? And I sit there and go, nothing.
Nothing, right?
They're like, what?
That's the RP.
Is there not breathing techniques, box breathing, 5 things, grounding, regulating?
Yeah.
No, because we need you can tolerate this. You've probably had hundreds of these before.
Yeah.
Nothing bad's happened. So why don't we try not doing something, which is the response prevention, and it teaches the brain, oh yeah, we tolerated that, and also nothing bad happened. So, I mean, you've killed 2 birds with 1 stone there. You're not looking for safety behaviors. You're not looking for things to give the credit to for why you were calm. You did that. That's ERP for panic disorder in a nutshell, but with any uncertainty, really, that's what it applies to.
I came up on Tuesday. Like, well, if I'm out with my friends, I'm getting better at handling my anxiety, but like sometimes I feel like I have to run to the bathroom because my tummy gets upset and then I'm embarrassed. And the answer was like, well, sometimes we get embarrassed and you might have to get better at being embarrassed. And it was like it was a light bulb moment for that person. It was like, I never thought about that. Like, I just assume if I get embarrassed, I have to fix that, right? Well, not always.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Anyway, we got another audio did it anyway. We got a written, and do we have a question?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's hear it anyway.
We'll do the audio. How's that? We will do, let me get rid of this one so I know I'm playing the right one. And let's listen to this one.
Hi guys. Hi Drew and Josh. My name is Martha. You can use my name. I'm a sufferer of OCD and anxiety from Greece. Wanted to share one with you. So I was talking to a guy for quite some time, and it turned out that he was really attracted to me, but I was not. And it might seem like a very simple thing, like, okay, you're not attracted, what's the big deal? But my first instinct was, oh my god, I have to run away. I cannot do this. This is so terrifying. Like, me telling him that I don't like him, I thought of ghosting him, of avoiding the situation completely. But I knew that it would be good of me to actually, have the difficult conversation. And the entire day I was terrified. My OCD was going batshit crazy. I felt like I was about to faint, and it was just very bad overall. But the experience itself turned out to be alright, actually. I did it anyways, even though I was terrified of the entire thing. And I feel pretty great with myself right now. So guys, if you're listening to this, you can do it too. Do it terrified, do it anxious, just do it anyways,
That was really great. That was really great.
I love that. I love that at the end as well. Just do it terrified, do it great. And I feel great now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the threat response picks up on for this, for Martha and pre-existing OCD. It was, no, you can't let this person down. You can't tell them no. And you did it anyway. And well done. And also you've respected a boundary. I mean, there's just so many good things about that.
Yeah, it goes way even beyond just anxiety disorders. There's a life lesson in that one. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but we can handle it. And the other person probably did too. So good job, Martha. Very good. Thank you.
That's really, really good. Yeah, we're going global, Drew.
We really are. We'll end with a question. So I will read a did it anyway, and then we'll answer our question at the end. Ready? So
where have we had? We've had Norway, we've had Greece. Where are you from?
This is the UK.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from the US of A. Come on. The red-tailed hawk, aka the eagle. Somebody else pointed that out to us just recently, I believe, in an email or something. Or it might have been in an Instagram comment. I can't remember. But hey, it's an eagle to us. Leave us alone. All right, here's a did it.
No, it's a red-tailed hawk called eagle.
That's the name of the red-tailed hawk. His parents.
The name of the hawk is eagle. Yeah.
Yes, they were Americanophiles, USophiles. Is there such a thing? So Kurt from the UK sends it a did anyway, gives us permission to use his name. And he says, hi, Josh. And in air quotes, how do I put my phone on silent, AKA Drew? Kurt is taking a swipe at my OkCupid notifications. Good job, Kurt. You can use my name. Been listening and following you both for a while, and your content has definitely steered my recovery in a better direction. I wanted to share a did it anyway with you. Been in a setback recently after handling my anxiety the best I've done in years. I was going to a concert with my friend, and on the train, the anxiety decided to rise until I was in near panic while waiting for them. Craig the critic was telling me that I couldn't do it and that I should just cut my losses and go home because I had failed. We planned to have posh burgers before too, which has now seemed impossible due to the nausea. Posh burgers, love it. But I decided that I was going to do it all anyway and stick to the original plan with no safety behaviors, spelled with a U. I went to the restaurant and ordered the burger, ate it all despite fears of having to run out and panic and throw up. I got lost in conversation with my friend and I felt the anxiety ease. I then went to the concert and enjoyed it. The anxiety decreased over the evening and I was able to relax. P.S. says Kurt, why is Barry from EastEnders not the theme for the Do It Anyways? Thanks again, Kurt. Oh, good job, Kurt. I think that was really great. Oh, wait, I'm playing the wrong thing, but I'll give you some applause. Is that the applause? Yeah, there you go.
Well done, Kurt. That's brilliant. And again, showing the principles of things, doing it, scared, ordering the burger despite feeling, well, what if I'm sick and I don't really feel it? But just doing it, simulating it even, teaching the brain, no, this is what I want to do. Well done. Hope you enjoyed the gig. We might get the clip from the Barry from EastEnders.
We may have to use it. They're gonna do it anyway. Hey, that's that guy. I didn't know what that was until it was
telling Drew. Fun fact: I've had Barry from EastEnders in a headlock with my friend Francis when we were at university. Not in an assault way. We asked, "Can we put you in a double headlock?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
It was
really
posed.
fun guy.
All right, very cool. Mushroom walks into a bar and says, "I'll have a beer," and the bartender says, "Get out of here. We don't serve your kind." The guy sitting at the end of the bar says, "Oh, he looks like a fun guy."
He's not airport dad, but he's dad
jokes. By the way, Kurt did an SAR thing here when he got lost in conversation with his friend. You know what changed? His attention, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he felt better. Anyway, thank you, Kurt. All right, what do we got? We got a question to end it up?
We got time for a question?
Sure, we can answer it quickly. What the hell?
Hi, Josh and Drew. Feel free to use my name. Okay. Hi, Kennedy. I hope you're doing well. I was wondering if you could answer a question about food and eating. Ask Kurt.
He just ate a posh burger.
A posh burger. I have health anxiety where I worry about cross-contamination with food and foodborne illnesses and allergic reactions, and subsequently stopped eating certain foods and only eating at certain times and not eating for extended periods of time. Recently, I've been eating food and then wondering if it has been cross-contaminated with something toxic, which is insane because I would never do something like that. This has also led to health problems like nutrient deficiencies, which only serves to exacerbate health anxiety symptoms. Before I even finish this sounds like OCD, contamination OCD, as opposed to health anxiety. My question is this. How would y'all recommend I do exposures for this phobia problem without ruining my relationship with food? Like, I want to be able to enjoy food and eat food in social settings like a normal person, and I worry that doing conventional exposures would make it hard for me to do that. Anyway, thanks for your time and all that you do. Good question, Kennedy. Where would you start?
That is a good question. The first thing I would throw in is this is a situation where there's going to be medical care involved, because if there's nutrient deficiencies and maybe you're underweight, that sort of stuff, we got to have a medical team involved. So I always got to throw that out there. But I think that the difficult thing there is, how do I do exposures without ruining my relationship with food? It doesn't sound like you're trying to do anything but eat normally again, right? Like I don't hear the demand to do anything special or to not feel bad. It's just, I don't want to do these restrictions anymore. So honestly, it's maybe a little bit overcomplicated in Kennedy's mind right now. It's just, you're going to feel bad when you eat things, right?
I'd also argue that your relationship with food is already ruined, so you've got nothing to lose.
That's exactly
right. If
you're
nutrient deficient and you're avoiding foods, then I wouldn't say that's great. This sounds a lot like contamination OCD, which is, what if I contaminate myself? What if I've made something toxic, even though, and when you said that, it sounds insane, because I knew it wouldn't. That usually sounds like an OCD style thing where OCD will use guilt as well as catastrophe to take your attention. Your exposures, advice, do it with an ERP therapist. You start out a little bit at a time, maybe eat food you've not eaten for a long time. Do things like that, and you build up and you build up. I know one therapist who, they'll do an exposure like, don't wash your hands and eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
But there's literally germs on my hands. Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. And I think you have to accept going in that, like, the exposure means, I'm going to probably have those thoughts and those worries after I eat that thing. But that's make sure you expect it going in. And I would agree. The help of a professional here would be a big deal. I think that how to make sure I don't develop a bad relationship with food is a little bit of a meta thing too going on. Like, Yeah, I need
Advice,
to do
advice
this
there is
right. Yeah, because I hear about ruining my relationship, but I see that online, so I don't want to do that. Don't really. It's already ruined, so you got to fix it.
Get an ERP therapist with you and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, challenging the uncertainty as well is always good. And yeah, make sure you get food on you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Drew. Really enjoyed that episode. Always do. And thank you for listening at home. We're here every Friday.
Yeah, if you're really digging this podcast, maybe leave us a review on Spotify or Apple, because we think we're worth it, or maybe not.
Yeah, and get on the mailing list if you want to join us on for Disordered Roundtable. We'll get new dates dropping very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.